Hello everyone, today we're going to be changing spark plugs. On the Crown Vic, basically you're going to want to remove this hose here for access. Spark plugs are under these coil packs. Basically you unbolt the coil pack, do a little twist and pull, and it gets your spark plug. If I recall, a lot of them are fairly straightforward to access. I think there's one or two that require kind of a bend to get to, and as we tackle this project we'll discover that. So we'll start by loosening the hose clamp. And there. And we need to disconnect this. So it has that little tab, you just squeeze that downward and it slides off of there. Getting the hose off is just kind of a wrestling match. The later models are a much tighter fit than the earlier models. I wanted to show you while I had that hose off. This is your throttle body here, and so when you press the gas, that opens. That would be considered wide open throttle there. And even when you're not pressing the gas, there's either an idle air bypass valve that allows air to go through to your engine, or the throttle body itself leaves just enough of a gap. Again, that's going to depend on which type of vehicle you have. This is the drive-by wire, so instead of having a cable directly hooked up to the gas pedal that manually flips this, there's the motor here that turns it. Mine is looking pretty clean. It certainly doesn't hurt to clean this out whenever you have this off of here like that. So I'm going to go ahead and spray my throttle body with the throttle body cleaner. Basically, I'm just going to spray it with that. And so it's just to kind of hit it with this type of spray rather than a continuous spray. So you see I got a little bit of grease and dirt out of there. And, that stuff does eat through your gloves, so I'm going to go get some. Okay, this is a 2008 model. These are the coil packs. And if you look right there, it's a 7mm bolt that holds that on. If you're changing the coil packs too, you're going to need to disconnect the electrical. Otherwise, just pull the coil pack out, change the spark plug, put the coil pack on. I do have video from my 2003. I filmed it before I ever decided to start doing YouTube videos, so the quality is not as good as what I've got now, but I'm going to try to add some of that in for those of you that have the older models. So it's 7mm socket. break this bolt loose here. When you're pulling, you want to try to pull from the boot as much as you can. And you also want to make sure you don't get anything falling down in there. A lot of this plastic is disintegrating. With the boot off, you can see where the spark plug is. These use a 5/8 socket. I've got a spark plug socket. If you don't have a spark plug socket, I would strongly urge you to get one. It's not impossible to remove but the spark plug socket makes it a lot easier because it'll grab the spark plug for you. I'm going to vacuum all that plastic up so it doesn't fall in there. So there's the plug that came out. You can tell they've seen better days. The gap on it looks huge. Probably go measure that and just see. I bet it's way out of gap. So that's what was actually in the car from the factory. This is AGSF 22FM1. And then the one that they told me I needed at the store was an AGSF 32PM. So not exactly the same spark plug. Size-wise, it appears to be the same. So according to everything I've read, you want to gap that at the 54, and that one came right out of the box at 51, so we're just gonna give it a little teeny tiny bend there, and now we're at 0.054, so 54 thousandths. Okay, whenever you change a spark plug, you need to put anti-seize on the threads. So we're just gonna put a little bit on the threads here. Doesn't take a whole lot, just enough so that that won't seize up in there. And then this is what's nice about the spark plug socket, is it'll hold it. So when you're putting it in the car, it doesn't fall. And started. According to the shop manual, it's supposed to go 84 to 180 inch-pounds. You divide that by 12, it's basically 7 to 15 foot-pounds. I'm setting my torque wrench at 12. Kind of in between there. And what you'll find a lot of times, the spark plug socket will stay in there, so I'm going to have to retrieve it. And then the last step is put some dialectic tune-up grease in the boot here. That'll keep things waterproofed. Alright, the rest of them go exactly the same way. We're just going to run into some clearance issues as we move down here. Where things like having a flexible extension help. Especially when it breaks. Alright, I'm almost done now. Finally, the camera ran out of battery while I was filming, and I think I invented a few swear words, so it's probably good that the battery ran out. I did manage to get, you noticed when I was filming, the second one back on each side was blocked by the fuel rail. On that side, the throttle body, and here looks like a vacuum connection. And apparently I don't have a box wrench that's 7mm, I might only go down to 9. So I had to rig it up. Basically, this is 8, but I had the 7 on there, and then I used the screwdriver adapter on it, and then a 1/4" wrench around the end of the screwdriver adapter. And although not pretty, it did get the job done. The trick I wanted to show you, what I noticed when I put the spark plug socket to install them, when you get it done, usually the socket stays, and then you're trying to wrestle that out of there. So you take a rubber hose. This is just a fuel line. I think it's a 3/8, no, 5/16. 3/8 probably be a little bit better. But it'll hold it so you can get it started, finger tight. And then just use your regular 5/8 socket to finish tightening it. The 5/8 socket just comes right out without getting stuck. So the only one that I really had a lot of trouble as far as getting to the spark plug itself is the back one on this side. And I don't remember which cylinder is numbered what. We'll just call this 8 for now, but it's the farthest one back here. Basically what I had to do was get the socket on there, kind of fish it behind here, and then I had, once I got that connected to the socket in there, then I added this elbow and then a long piece. So it ends up basically this coming out of here with that on it, and then you just had to turn with that swivel. That's the only one that needed a swivel. The rest of them, it would go straight in. Last step is to put this back on. Don't forget to reconnect that. And I've triple checked, made sure I've reconnected everything that I disconnected. It's certainly a good idea to check, make sure you haven't left any tools laying anywhere. Alright, hopefully it'll start. Alright, it is running. I won't know for sure how well it's running until I drive it some. but I'm gonna not turn it off right away, kind of let it warm up a little bit. It's generally not a good idea to start your car, run it a little bit, and then turn it off without letting it warm up. It can get moisture in the oil and stuff. Main thing I'm noticing since I changed the spark plugs is it's idling a lot higher than it used to. I would have just said, oh well, it's because it's cold, but it's December in Texas, but it's 70 something degrees outside right now. We've just had crazy ups and downs on the weather. It seems to be coming down a little bit. So I don't know if I should have perhaps totally reset the computer when I did this. To do that, you'd have to disconnect the negative battery cable for quite a while till the computer kind of resets itself to brand new. If you weren't aware, as you drive with these fuel injected cars, the computer kind of learns and adapts based on your driving, and so it can change the timing and so forth to make the car run better. And so it may have learned to adapt to the old spark plugs, and now that it's got new spark plugs, it may need to adapt a little bit. I don't know, it may adapt within 40 or 50 miles driving. Alright, so you've heard the term tune-up. Back in the old days it was much more involved to do a tune-up because you were dealing with the timing and so forth. With today's computerized cars, tune-up generally means spark plugs and air filter, and then just checking the fluids and changing them on schedule. Now a lot of times the schedule for the fluids, like the oil, the coolant, and so forth, coincide with the time for your spark plugs. It's typically the newer cars have 100,000 mile coolant and 100,000 mile spark plugs, and generally around 100,000 miles is usually about the time to change your oil and some of the other fluids. So the term tune-up is kind of a generic term nowadays, and it could just be changing your spark plugs and possibly your air filter. In my case, the air filter's fairly new. The oil was just changed the other day. All my fluids are up to schedule and everything. So for me, tune-up was just changing the spark plugs, which is what we just finished, and the car is already back to idling at normal level now. So there for a while it was idling over 1,000, and it's coming down now. Car's about warmed up. Like I said, generally you don't want to just start your car and then turn it off when it's cold. So it's warmed up now. That should burn off any moisture that would have been accumulating in there and keep the oil good. So hope this video was helpful. Like I said, I learned some new swear words changing the spark plugs. I know I've done it before,